I didn't think it was illegal. That's the first thing I need you to understand. It just felt wrong. But when you're down to your last $14, wrong starts to feel negotiable. The ad showed up at 2:11 a.m. I remember the time because I'd been staring at my bank app for almost an hour, refreshing it like something might magically change. Rent was overdue. Again, my landlord had already sent 2 messages that week, short, polite, but with that underlying tone that meant this is your last warning. And then the ad just appeared. No website, no brand, just a black screen with white text. Get paid to observe, 12 per hour, no experience required. There was a download link underneath. That was it. I should have ignored it. I know that now. But the thing is, it didn't feel like a scam. No flashy graphics, no fake testimonials, just simple, quiet, professional even. And when I tapped the link, it didn't take me to a browser. It downloaded instantly. No permissions, no setup, just an app icon I didn't remember installing. A plain gray eye. When I opened it, there was no login screen. Just a message, you are now active. Then the screen flickered and a video feed appeared. It was a room, a normal room. A man sitting at a desk, scrolling through his phone. Nothing strange, nothing dramatic, just someone living their life. At first, I thought it was pre-recorded, but then he stood up, stretched, walked out of frame. The lighting changed naturally as a car passed outside his window. It was live. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, just watching, waiting for something to happen. Nothing did. Then a small notification popped up in the corner. Session complete, plus $2. $2. I actually laughed, out loud, because it felt ridiculous. But when I checked the balance tab inside the app, it said $2 available, and right below it, withdraw anytime. I tested it, linked my bank account expecting it to fail or glitch or ask for some kind of payment, but it didn't. Within 30 seconds, I got a notification from my bank. $2 deposited. That's when it stopped feeling wrong and started feeling like a solution. I used it for 3 hours that night. Different people, different rooms, a woman cooking in a dim kitchen, a guy asleep on his couch with the TV still on, someone working late, typing nonstop like their life depended on it. None of them looked at the camera. None of them acted like they were being watched. And I told myself the same thing over and over. Maybe they agreed to this. Maybe it's some kind of research program. Maybe it's legal. By morning, I'd made $36. That was more than I'd made in 2 days doing freelance gigs. So I kept going. Over the next week, it became routine. Wake up, open the app, watch. The money added up faster than I expected. $12 an hour turned into $70 days, then $100. At one point, I made $480 in 3 days, just sitting there, watching people live their lives. I stopped looking for other work, stopped answering calls, even stopped going outside as much, because every minute I wasn't watching, I wasn't earning. That's when I noticed the change. The rooms started getting darker, not physically, just something about them felt off. One night, I was watching a woman sitting in her bedroom. She wasn't doing anything, just sitting on the edge of her bed, staring at the wall, for almost 20 minutes, completely still. And then, very slowly, she turned her head, not toward the door, not toward the window, toward the camera. I froze, because for the first time, it felt like someone could see me. She didn't react, didn't speak, just looked directly into the lens, unblinking. Then the feed cut out. Session complete. I closed the app after that, told myself I just needed sleep, that I was overthinking it. But the next night, I opened it again, because the money was still there, waiting. And this time, the app didn't show me a stranger. It showed me a room I recognized. At first, I couldn't place it. It looked familiar, but distant, like something from a memory you can't fully access, a dim light, a cluttered desk, curtains half drawn. Then I noticed something small, something that made my chest tighten. A crack in the wall, right above the outlet. I had stared at that crack every day for 2 years, because it was in my apartment. I told myself it wasn't possible, that it had to be coincidences, a similar layout, same cheap construction, same kind of damage. But then the camera angle shifted slightly, and I saw the chair, my chair, the one with the torn fabric on the left side, and someone was sitting in it, watching something on a phone. I leaned closer to the screen. Heart pounding so hard I could hear it, because I already knew what I was going to see. I just didn't want to accept it yet. The person in the chair moved just slightly, enough for the light to hit their face. And that's when everything in my body went cold, because it was me. I dropped my phone. It hit the floor hard enough to crack the corner of the screen, but I didn't pick it up right away. I just stood there, staring at my own reflection in the black glass, because that wasn't possible. It couldn't be live, it couldn't be me. But I already knew the truth, because when I finally picked the phone back up, the version of me on the screen did the same thing, a half-second delay, just enough to make it worse. I stopped breathing. I lifted my hand slowly on the screen. I lifted it too, but not at the same time, always just slightly after, like it wasn't reacting to me, like it was copying me. And then the notification appeared. Session active. High engagement bonus enabled. The balance at the top of the screen started climbing. $112, $113, $115, faster than it ever had before. I should have closed the app. I should have smashed the phone, thrown it out the window, anything, but I didn't, because I needed the money. That thought felt disgusting the moment it crossed my mind, but it didn't go away. It just sat there, quietly making sense. Just a few more minutes. Just enough to cover rent. On the screen, I watched myself sit back down, except I hadn't moved. My chest tightened because now I wasn't controlling it anymore. The version of me inside the app reached forward and slowly picked up something from the desk. A stack of cash, thick, bound with a rubber band. I looked down at my real desk. There was nothing there. But on the screen, there was more money than I had ever seen in my life. The app chimed again. Performance increase detected. The numbers jumped. 200, 260, 310. My hands started shaking because I understood now. It wasn't paying me to watch. It was paying me to stay. The longer I watched, the more control it had, and the more valuable I became. I tried to close the app. My thumb pressed the screen over and over, but nothing happened. No response, no exit. Behind me, I heard something move. I live alone, or at least, I thought I did. The sound was soft, like fabric shifting, weight settling. I turned slowly. There was no one there. But when I looked back at the screen, the version of me wasn't sitting anymore. It was standing, and it wasn't facing the phone. It was facing behind me. My stomach dropped so hard I felt sick. Because whatever was in my room, I couldn't see it. But the app could. The version of me tilted its head slightly, like it was listening. Then it stepped aside as if making space for something else to enter the frame. The lighting in the room changed. Not brighter, just wrong. And then the feed glitched. For a split second, I saw it. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. A shape, too tall, too still, standing right behind where I was sitting in real life. My body locked up. I couldn't move. I couldn't even turn around. The app chimed again, louder this time. Almost excited. Peak engagement reached. The balance shot up instantly, $500. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. And then the version of me on the screen smiled. I wasn't smiling. I don't think I've ever been that scared in my life. But it smiled anyway. Slow, wide, wrong. And then it spoke. Not out loud, but I could hear it, clear as anything. Don't stop watching. The screen went black. For a moment, everything was silent. Then my phone vibrated in my hand, a notification from my bank, $500 deposited. I don't remember how long I sat there after that. Minutes, hours, it didn't matter. Eventually, I convinced myself it was over, that whatever happened had ended. I didn't open the app again that night or the next. But the money stayed, every dollar. And that's the worst part, because now I know it wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a dream. It was a transaction, and I accepted it. 3 days later, I got another notification, not from my bank, from the app, even though I had deleted it. New session available. I didn't open it. I swear I didn't. But that night, when I was lying in bed trying to sleep, I heard something, a soft, shifting sound from the corner of the room, the same sound as before. And slowly, very slowly, my phone lit up on its own. The screen turned on, and I saw it, a live feed, my room from an angle I've never seen before. And there I was, lying in bed, watching the screen. The balance at the top read $512, $513, $514, And just before the screen dimmed, I saw something standing next to my bed, close enough to reach me. I didn't die that night, at least, not in the way you'd expect. I woke up on the floor. My phone was still in my hand, the screen was dark, and for a few seconds everything felt normal again. No noise, no movement, no presence. I stayed there longer than I should have, just lying still, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself it had all been some kind of breakdown, stress, sleep deprivation, too much time inside. That's what I told myself. And then my phone vibrated. Just once. I didn't want to look. I knew I shouldn't. But the problem with fear is it doesn't stop curiosity. Slowly, I lifted the phone. No app icon, nothing on the home screen. Just a notification. No sender. No name. Balance updated. My stomach dropped. I opened my banking app. I wish I hadn't, because the number was real. $2,000. Exactly what I saw before everything went black. That's when it hit me. That wasn't a dream. That wasn't a glitch. That was a completed transaction, and something had paid me. I didn't touch the money, not at first. I told myself I wouldn't, but by the second day, I was already doing the math. Rent, utilities, debt. $2,000 didn't fix everything, but it changed the pressure. It gave me breathing room, and that's all it takes. Just enough relief to make you forget why you were scared. I lasted 3 days before I opened the app again, not because I wanted to, because I needed to understand. At least that's what I told myself. The app didn't reappear on my phone. It didn't need to, because this time it opened on its own. The screen flickered to life while I was sitting there. No touch, no input. Just that same gray eye and the message, "Welcome back." My chest tightened. I didn't press anything, didn't move, but the feed started anyway. This time, it wasn't a stranger. It was a street, a normal one. Cars passing, people walking, daylight. For a second, I thought maybe it had changed. Maybe it wasn't just rooms anymore. But then the camera zoomed slightly and locked onto someone. A guy in a blue jacket, walking alone, head down, had nothing unusual, until I noticed something small. His phone. Same model as mine, same crack in the corner. My breath caught, because I knew that crack. I put it there. The feed shifted again, closer now, and the angle changed just enough for me to see his face. It wasn't me. Not exactly, but it was close. Too close. Like someone had taken my features and rebuilt them from memory. The app chimed softly. Viewer assigned. I felt sick because I understood instantly. Last time, I was watching myself. Now, someone else was watching me. And I had been reassigned. The number at the top started moving again. $12.24 to $36.6. Same rate as before. Like nothing had changed. Except everything had. I tried to close the screen. Nothing happened. I tried turning off the phone. The power button didn't respond. The feed kept playing. The version of me on the screen stopped walking. Slowly, he turned his head. Not toward the camera. Toward something off screen. Something I couldn't see. And for a moment, I felt that same pressure in the room again, like the air had thickened, like something was just outside my view. The app chimed again. Engagement required. A new button appeared. Continue watching. And below it, a timer. 8. My heart started racing because I knew what this was. It wasn't a choice. It was a condition. The money only counted if I stayed. If I watched, if I participated. I hesitated just for a second, and the number at the top dropped. $36.25. Panic hit instantly, because that wasn't just money. That was something taking it back. I tapped the screen. The timer disappeared. The balance restored instantly. $36. The app chimed softly again. Almost pleased. And that's when I realized the worst part. I wasn't being forced to stay. I was being trained to choose it. The version of me on the screen started walking again, faster this time, toward whatever was waiting off camera. And even though I couldn't see it yet, I already knew. This wasn't about watching anymore. It was about what happens next. I should have stopped watching. That's the part I keep coming back to, because even after everything, I still tapped the screen. I still chose to continue. The version of me in the feed kept walking, faster now, like it knew where it was going, like it had done this before. The camera followed smoothly, too smoothly, not like a person holding it, more like the world itself was adjusting to keep him in frame. The street emptied out, cars disappeared, people vanished, until it was just him and whatever was waiting ahead. The app chimed again. Phase progression detected. The balance jumped. 120, 180, 240. My breathing got shallow because I understood something now that I didn't before. This wasn't random. It was structured like levels or tasks, and I had just moved to the next one. The version of me stopped in the middle of the road, then slowly looked up. The camera tilted with him, and that's when I saw it. Not a building, not a person, a screen. Massive, stretching upward into the sky like a broken billboard, and on it, thousands of smaller screens, all playing different feeds, rooms, streets, apartments, people sitting alone, watching. My stomach turned, because I recognized the pattern instantly. Every single one of them looked like me. Not identical, but close enough. Different versions, different variations, same posture, same isolation, same expression. People sitting in dark rooms, watching, earning. The app vibrated harder now, almost aggressive. Global engagement synchronized. The numbers surged, 400, 600, 900. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Because now I understood the scale. This wasn't just happening to me, it was happening to all of us. Anyone desperate enough, anyone broke enough, anyone willing to trade time for money without asking too many questions. The version of me stepped closer to the screen, and the feeds started changing. One by one, they switched, until every single screen was showing the same thing. My room, from different angles. My bed, my desk, my door, and me, sitting there, watching. The app chimed again, soft, almost gentle this time. You are now visible. I felt something behind me, closer than before, closer than it had ever been. And this time, I didn't need the screen to confirm it, because I could feel it breathing, right over my shoulder. The version of me on the giant screen smiled again, that same wrong smile, and slowly it raised its hand, not waving, pointing directly at me. Every screen followed, thousands of versions of me, all pointing at the same spot where I was sitting. The app vibrated violently. Final phase unlocked. The balance jumped one last time. $2,000, exactly the same as before. Like this was the real payout, the real transaction. And for a split second, everything went quiet, completely silent. Like the world itself was waiting. Then the message appeared. Exchange required. My chest tightened because I didn't need it explained. I already knew. The money wasn't payment. It was weight, a balance. And now, something had to match it. The thing behind me moved. Not fast, not sudden, just inevitable, like gravity. I tried to move, tried to stand, to run, to do anything, but my body didn't respond. Because on the screen, I wasn't running. I was sitting perfectly still, waiting. So that's what I did. I sat there, and I let it happen. The last thing I saw was the phone screen slipping from my hand again. But this time, it didn't go dark. It stayed on, and the feed switched. Not to me, to someone else, another room, another person, sitting alone, watching their screen. And just before everything went black, I heard the same words I saw the first night. Calm, unavoidable. You are now active.